Okay, guys, I apologize for the lack of a video this week, but quite honestly, I felt like I didn't have that much to talk about. I could have done a full-fledged review of Payback. Unfortunately, the pay-per-view didn't leave that much of an impression on me, one way or the other. I didn't think it was a bad show. I thought most of the matches turned out okay. But nothing, like, really stood out as being truly awesome that was worth going out of my way to talk about. And nothing was really bad except for the House of Horrors match, but we all knew that was going to be bad, so I didn't really feel the need to throw my name in the hat as far as discussing the show goes. But like I said, to give my overall impressions, I thought most of the matches overall were smartly booked. You know, in as far as like how their finishes were executed and stuff like that. You know, the Alexa Bailey match using a head injury as part of the finish, using a DDT. As the finish, I thought was very smart. Braun Strowman, you know, not squashing, but pretty much getting a decisive win over a half-mummified, injured Roman Reigns made sense. If this were Cena, Cena would have overcome the odds and won. So at least they were smart enough to have the injured babyface go down against a monster. It's like, yeah, that actually makes sense. So, like I said, most of the matches were smartly booked. House of Horrors didn't work. They were trying to do something cut from the same cloth as like the Final Deletion or Lucha Underground or something like that. It just didn't click. I thought it was kind of boring, actually. That was one of the problems. I just wasn't. I didn't believe that Orton and Bray were like really fighting each other. It just looked. I don't know. It looked like a typical like phony wrestling brawl. It didn't look like they were legitimately trying to hurt each other or anything. So that was most of what was missing from it. That and the fact that like the spooky elements that they added to it didn't really enhance it or make it that much more interesting. It's just amazing that with their top level production values, WWE wasn't able to top Lucha Underground or even Impact Wrestling with the Broken Brilliance and all that stuff. So. But yeah, I guess those are my overall impressions of Payback, and that's really all I have to say about the show. I have not seen Wrestling Dontaku yet. I'm going to try and watch that sometime tomorrow night. I want to watch it. I heard the Omega Ishii match was really, really good, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so I'll get around to that probably tomorrow. I'll probably watch that instead of Raw. But anyway, I don't really have anything else for you as far as the video goes, except to do the top 10 matches for the month of April 2017. So let me knock that out real quick. April is a big month because it's WrestleMania month. So not only do you get WrestleMania, but you get a bunch of other shows that are like coming out around the same time to kind of piggyback off of the hype that WrestleMania has. So a lot of opportunities for great matches, and I felt like we got a nice bundle this month. So. With that, let's go into it. Number 10, Eddie Edwards versus Davey Richards in a last man standing match from Impact Wrestling, the April 6th episode. This is the best match I've seen since Impact has done their big reboot. I'm not saying it was like a match of the year or anything like that, but you know, part of the problem with Impact is that a lot of their shows feel like they're lacking any intrigue or intensity. And this match had a little bit of both. So, on a show that's typically lifeless, this one had some spark to it. So, I'll give them credit for that. Number 9, The Club versus Sheamus and Cesaro versus Enzo and Cass versus the Hardys in a tag team ladder match for the Raw tag titles at WrestleMania 33. If the Hardys didn't return during this match, it probably wouldn't have made the list, but they did, so that instantly made the match memorable. When I reviewed WrestleMania, I gave them credits like, oh my god, a multi-man ladder match that I'll actually remember in 6 months. So, okay, kudos to them. They were able to surpass my expectations, I should say, and did a really good job. So, again, it's the surprise of the Hardys that warrants it getting on the list, but the crowd reacted so strongly to him that it made the match a lot more exciting as a result. Number 8, Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the United States title, also from WrestleMania 33. Well built up match, really solid. it was just good. It was just a really good match all around. Their match at Payback was almost as good, or maybe about on par with it. So we can put that as like an 8A and 8B, I guess. Their Payback and WrestleMania matches. Yeah, they didn't quite get to like that match of the year contender level that I would have wanted, given how strong the build-up was. But for what it was, I thought it was really good match. Did some smart things in it, like the fingertips being a callback to the birth of Jericho, or whatever that painting was. It was really good. So yeah, good solid match. Not a whole lot else to say about it. What else we got? Okay, number 7, Cody Rhodes versus Jay Lethal in a Texas Bullrope match from Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 11. This was a very un-Ring of Honor-like match. This was something like I would have expected to see in the 70s or the 80s. It had that kind of style to it and that kind of brutality to it. And overall, I thought the match really worked. It was a good, simple, violent match. With kind of an old school flavor to it, and definitely the best match I've seen Cody have since he left the WWE. So, really good work by both guys, and one of the better matches on that show. So, kudos to them. Number 6, Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT title from NXT TakeOver Orlando. It was the main event of NXT's WrestleMania weekend show. And it was another strong one. I honestly like the Roode Nakamura matches more than I did the Joe Nakamura matches. They just had again, it was more of an old school flavor to it, and I just like the work that they put in. And referencing Nakamura's knee injury that he suffered in the previous match gave this match again very nice kind of psychological edge to it. And overall, very strong main event on what was a pretty strong TakeOver show, so I really liked it. Number 5, another WrestleMania match. AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon in the opening bout of WrestleMania 33. Shane McMahon is a crazy son of a bitch that will do just about... He will fling his body in any way, shape, or form he can just to make the match as exciting as possible. Yeah, just a very enjoyable match. It was nice to see AJ... get a win at a WrestleMania and do it in just such an exciting way with this particular match. So it's one of those matches that just shows how good AJ Styles really is and how flashy and crazy Shane McMahon can be. So it turned out to be the perfect marriage between the two. And really enjoyed it. Strong opening match. Number 4, the Authors of Pain versus the Revival versus DIY for the NXT tag titles in an elimination match, also from NXT TakeOver Orlando. I thought this was the match of the night. The NXT tag title matches have been stealing the show lately at every TakeOver that they've done, although that's probably going to change now that the Revival has moved up to the main roster. But just excellent work all around with the Revival and DIY having to work together to try and take down the Monster Tag Team, but their inability to work together ultimately caused their downfall. So, very exciting tag team title match. Really loved it. Great stuff all around. It's fairly par for the course for the NXT tag title matches lately, although, like I said, now that the Revival's moved up to the main roster, we'll see if that continues to be a thing. But, yeah, very good, very enjoyable match. Best match I've seen the Authors of Pain have. Although, I mean, you could argue that it's the Revival and DIY doing most of the work. It's important for guys like the Authors of Pain to be in matches like that where they can learn, how to better hang with the more talented workers like the DIYs and the Revivals. So, very enjoyable match. Number 3, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal title from WrestleMania 33. Yes, it was only 4.5 minutes long, and no, I don't care. This match was a huge shot of adrenaline at this WrestleMania. I gave them the Match of the Night honors when I reviewed the show. I stand by that. I've actually rewatched the match 2 or 3 times since WrestleMania because it is such like this, just two bulls just trying to kill each other and just high intensity, high impact, awesome stuff. Clash of the Titans level of stuff. And it was nice that even though I didn't think they could, it was nice that Goldberg and Lesnar were able to make up for the debacle at WrestleMania 20 and finally get a good match out of those two. And it was just a really fun, exciting powerhouse match. And like I said, it came so late in the card that I needed like a shot of adrenaline to kind of make it through the rest of WrestleMania. Main event that they went with wasn't going to do it. Bray and Orton wasn't going to do it. So these guys went out there and did it. And that's the other thing. They had to follow that Bray Wyatt Randy Orton match that was terrible, and they went out there and kind of like stole the thunder from this whole WrestleMania. It was really amazing, and they did it in less than 5 minutes. So even more props to them. Just love this match. It was great. Match of the night for a WrestleMania that honestly wasn't that bad. I've put a few other WrestleMania matches on this list, so that speaks even more highly about how much I liked it. So from there we go on. Number 2. The Hardys versus the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor tag titles in a ladder match from Supercard of Honor 11. Very strong main event, and probably the best match I've seen the Bucks have, because this one, whenever they're in a ladder match or a street fight, they're kind of, anarchy rules, chaotic style kind of fits in better. Like I said, their biggest problem is that they barely ever adhere to tag team psychology, but when they do, it's great. I praised their match from Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year. So it's not like they're incapable of putting together a really strong tag team match, but they typically work better when there are no rules, like a ladder match where they can pretty much do whatever they want. And it made for an exciting main event. I thought both teams worked very well with each other. I thought the Hardys put over the Bucks very well. The Hardys actually, I mentioned this in my review, but they kind of stole the weekend when you look at how strong the main event was of this show and their surprise appearance at WrestleMania 33. They were kind of the stars of the weekend. But strong main event for Ring of Honor and a great capstone to their WrestleMania weekend show. And it was a major coup of them to have the Hardys, and it's just makes TNA or Impact Wrestling look silly that they weren't able to hold on to them. But them's the breaks. But my number 1 match of the month goes to Kazuchika Okada versus Katsuyori Shibata for the IWGP World Heavyweight title from Sakura Genesis. Another outstanding main event from Kazuchika Okada. He is he's probably, it's him or AJ at this point, my favorite worker in the world. I just love watching that guy go to town. I've made this assessment of him before. He's basically Randy Orton with none of the negatives. He's just a very well-rounded worker all around, and he truly is the ace for New Japan at this point. When you look at the match he had with Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, and the match he had with Suzuki, and this match right here. And I heard he had a really good match with Bad Luck Fale at Wrestling Dontaku. Okada is just the man right now, and he's just killing it. He's just really, really killing it. And it's amazing that he's been able to overcome like that shitty run in TNA he had and become one of the best wrestlers in the world. So really huge props and kudos to him. Shibata, this was kind of his even though he lost, this was supposed to be like the match that gives him a big main event rub and establish him as like an eventual top star. And he looked awesome in this match. And by the time it was over, I was like, yeah, Shibata, he's the man. But unfortunately, it looks like his wrestling career might be over due to an injury he suffered in this match. So that's unfortunate. But hey, if this is his last match, what a match to go out on, right? This was an outstanding main event, and loved it. Great job by both guys. And wrestling brand of the month, I'm going to give it to New Japan, largely on the strength of that main event and just their general consistency all around. New Japan typically delivers pretty strong, and overall is a very enjoyable product. So that is all I have for you now. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will be back next week with more videos. Hopefully, if I can think of something interesting to talk about, maybe I could talk about the leaked videos and photos from Victoria and Charlotte or whatever. But I don't really care now. I already talked about it with Paige, so I don't really feel like I have much more to add other than that. It's just, as someone who works in the field of cybersecurity, it's like, guys, you really gotta protect your stuff a little bit better. If you're gonna have that type of shit on your phone, should work a little bit harder to protect it. But anyway, that's all I have right now. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's a beautiful Sunday out where I am, so I'm going to go out and play and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So, yeah, that's all I have right now. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all later.